Detroit was once one of the richest cities in America. It was the city that put the world on wheels, created millions of jobs, and became the beating heart of the American dream. If you wanted a stable career, a good paycheck, and a comfortable life, Detroit was the place to be. At its peak, the city was booming with nearly 2 million people, beautiful neighborhoods, and some of the biggest companies on Earth. But today, Detroit is known for something completely different. Abandoned skyscrapers, empty factories, and entire neighborhoods that look frozen in time tell a different story. In 2013, Detroit became the largest city in U.S. history to file for bankruptcy. A city that once represented unlimited opportunity had become a symbol of urban collapse. So how did one of America's greatest success stories turn into one of its biggest failures? And here's the twist. Was Detroit really destroyed forever, or is one of the greatest comebacks in American history already underway? To answer that, we have to go back more than 100 years to the moment when a simple idea transformed Detroit. At the beginning of the 20th century, Detroit was growing, but nothing suggested it would become the automobile capital of the world. Then everything changed. A man named Henry Ford had a vision. Cars already existed, but they were expensive, handmade, only the wealthy could afford. Ford believed a car should not be a luxury, but something every ordinary American family could own. That idea changed history. In 1913, Ford introduced the moving assembly line. Instead of workers building one entire car, each worker focused on one small task while the car moved down the line. It sounds simple today, but back then it completely revolutionized manufacturing. Before the assembly line building, a single car could take more than 12 hours. After Ford's innovation, production time dropped dramatically and cars became cheaper. Suddenly, millions of Americans could afford something that had once been reserved for the rich. It is like going from waiting 6 months for a custom-made smartphone to walking into a store and buying one instantly. The world had never seen anything like it. Ford's success did not go unnoticed. Soon, companies like General Motors, Chrysler, Dodge, and Packard established massive operations in Detroit. The city quickly became the center of the global automobile industry. Factories stretched for miles, and smokestacks filled the skyline. Trains arrived every day carrying steel, rubber, glass, and thousands of workers eager to earn a paycheck. Jobs were everywhere. You did not need a college degree or years of experience to find a well-paying job in one of Detroit's factories. People arrived from every corner of America and from overseas, chasing the same dream, a better life. Detroit was not just building cars anymore, it was building futures. Families bought homes, new schools opened, and businesses flourished. Every new factory created thousands of jobs, and every paycheck helped another local business grow. For decades, it felt like Detroit could do no wrong. By the 1950s, Detroit had become one of the wealthiest manufacturing cities in the world. Owning a home was achievable, and a factory worker could support an entire family, buy a car, and save for the future. Today, that sounds almost unbelievable, but back then it was reality for many Detroit residents. The city reached nearly 2 million people, and its downtown was packed with shoppers and music echoing through the streets. New buildings rose into the skyline, and Detroit was not just another American city, it was driving America's economy. Everything seemed perfect. But history has a habit of reminding us that success can sometimes hide the biggest dangers. Because while Detroit celebrated its golden age, the seeds of its downfall had already been planted, and almost nobody noticed. For decades, Detroit seemed unstoppable. The factories never slept, the paychecks kept coming, and the city continued growing year after year. If someone had predicted that Detroit would one day become America's largest municipal bankruptcy, almost nobody would have believed them. But history has a funny way of humbling even the greatest cities. The first signs of trouble didn't come from inside Detroit. They came from thousands of miles away. After World War II, countries like Japan began rebuilding their economies. Companies such as Toyota, Honda, and Nissan started producing cars that were smaller, cheaper, and far more fuel efficient than the large American vehicles dominating the roads. At first, Detroit's automakers didn't take them seriously. After all, why would Americans trade their powerful V8 engines for tiny, compact cars? Because fuel suddenly became very expensive. In 1973, the world was hit by an oil crisis. Gasoline prices skyrocketed almost overnight, and suddenly those massive American cars weren't looking so attractive anymore. Imagine buying a truck that drinks fuel like it's celebrating New Year's Eve, and then fuel prices double. Millions of Americans started looking for cars that were cheaper to run, and Japanese manufacturers had exactly what they wanted: Toyota, Honda, Nissan. These companies weren't just making affordable cars, they were making reliable cars. Meanwhile, many American manufacturers were still producing large vehicles while struggling to keep up with changing consumer demands. For the first time in decades, Detroit wasn't leading the automobile industry anymore. It was chasing it. As sales declined, companies began making difficult decisions. Factories that had once employed thousands of workers started cutting shifts. Then came layoffs. Entire plants that had powered Detroit's economy for decades suddenly fell silent. For thousands of workers, life changed almost overnight. One week they had stable jobs. The next week they were standing in unemployment lines, wondering how they would pay the mortgage. The impact spread far beyond the factories. When workers lose their jobs, they spend less money. Restaurants lose customers, local shops close, home prices begin to fall, schools receive less funding, one problem creates another, then another, and another. Detroit wasn't just losing factories, it was losing its economic engine. As jobs disappeared, families started making a difficult decision: stay or leave. Many chose to leave. Some moved to nearby suburbs where new businesses were opening. Others left Michigan entirely, chasing opportunities in states like Texas, Florida, and California. Year after year, Detroit's population continued shrinking. A city built for nearly 2 million people suddenly had hundreds of thousands fewer residents. Imagine owning a hotel with 1,000 rooms but only 300 guests. You still have to maintain the building, you still have to pay the bills. But the income simply isn't there anymore. That's exactly what Detroit was facing. The city still had roads, bridges, water systems, schools, police departments, fire stations. But now there were far fewer taxpayers paying for all of it. The financial pressure kept growing. Unfortunately, economic problems rarely stay economic. As unemployment rose, crime began increasing too. Some neighborhoods that had once been filled with families slowly became deserted. Businesses boarded up their windows, abandoned homes became targets for vandalism. Entire streets looked forgotten. In some areas, nature slowly reclaimed what people had left behind. Trees grew through sidewalks, grass covered driveways. Some houses looked like they'd been waiting decades for someone to come home. Detroit earned a reputation that scared people away. News channels showed burning buildings, empty factories, crime statistics. Before long, the city that had once symbolized opportunity became known as America's most troubled city. And that reputation made things even worse, because businesses don't like uncertainty. Investors don't like uncertainty, and families definitely don't like uncertainty. Detroit found itself trapped in a vicious cycle. The more people left, the harder it became for the city to recover. The warning nobody could ignore. By the early 2000s, the damage was impossible to hide. Downtown skyscrapers sat empty. Thousands of homes had been abandoned. Entire neighborhoods had fewer residents than a single apartment building. Photographers from around the world traveled to Detroit just to capture images of its decay. Some people even called it the American Ghost City. But while abandoned buildings made headlines, a much bigger disaster was quietly approaching. Detroit had borrowed billions of dollars over the years. Its tax revenue kept falling. Its debts kept growing. And eventually, there was only one option left. In 2013, Detroit officially filed for bankruptcy, the largest municipal bankruptcy in American history. For many people, it looked like the end of the Motor City, but surprisingly, it wasn't. because sometimes you have to hit rock bottom before you can finally start climbing back up. By 2013, Detroit had reached a breaking point. The city was drowning in debt. For years, officials had been borrowing money just to keep basic services running. Roads needed repairs, schools needed funding, police and firefighters still had to be paid. But there was one major problem. The people paying those bills were disappearing. Detroit's population had fallen from nearly 1.85 million people in the 1950s to fewer than 700,000. Imagine running a restaurant built for 2,000 customers a day, but only 700 show up. Eventually, the numbers simply don't work. On July 18, 2013, Detroit officially filed for bankruptcy. Not just any bankruptcy, the largest municipal bankruptcy in American history. The city owed more than $18 billion. For many Americans, it felt impossible. How could the city that built the automobile industry go completely broke? The answer wasn't just one bad decision. It was decades of problems piling on top of each other. Factories closed, people moved away, tax revenue collapsed, infrastructure kept aging, debt kept growing. Eventually, there was nowhere left to hide. After the bankruptcy, Detroit became famous all over the world. Unfortunately, not for good reasons. News channels showed endless footage of abandoned schools, broken factories, empty office buildings, entire neighborhoods with houses slowly falling apart. Some streets looked so empty you could stand in the middle of the road for minutes without seeing another person. It almost looked like someone had pressed a giant pause button on the entire city. Urban explorers from around the world flew to Detroit just to walk through abandoned factories. Photographers came searching for the perfect picture of decay. Hollywood even used Detroit as a filming location because it already looked like the set of a post-apocalyptic movie. But here's something most people never realized. Those abandoned buildings represented only one side of Detroit's story, because while cameras focused on empty factories, something unexpected was beginning just a few streets away. As property prices crashed, opportunity appeared. Some investors looked at Detroit and saw failure. Others looked at it and saw potential. One of the biggest names was billionaire Dan Gilbert, the founder of Rocket Mortgage. While many businesses were leaving Detroit, Gilbert was buying it. Office buildings, historic skyscrapers, entire blocks of downtown. Over the years, his companies invested billions of dollars into rebuilding the city's center. At first, people thought he was crazy. Why would anyone invest billions into Detroit? But Gilbert wasn't alone. Other companies started noticing something interesting. Detroit still had world-class architecture. It still had major sports teams. It still had universities producing talented graduates. Most importantly, it still had room to grow. And unlike New York or San Francisco, property was surprisingly affordable. Suddenly, Detroit didn't look like a lost cause anymore. It looked like an opportunity. Walk through downtown Detroit today, and you'll see something completely different from the headlines of 10 years ago. New restaurants, luxury apartments, coffee shops packed with people working on laptops, technology companies opening offices, historic buildings restored to their former beauty. The city even welcomed major developments like the Little Caesars Arena, bringing hockey basketball concerts and thousands of visitors back into downtown. Slowly, life returned. Not everywhere, but enough for people to notice, and that's important, because when most people think about Detroit, they're still imagining the city from 20 years ago. The truth is far more complicated. Now, before you pack your bags and start searching for houses in Detroit, let's be realistic. The city still faces major challenges. Many neighborhoods continue struggling with poverty. Crime remains a concern in certain areas. Thousands of abandoned homes still exist. Population growth hasn't returned to its old levels. Detroit hasn't magically become America's richest city again. Far from it. But comparing today's Detroit to the Detroit of 2013 is like comparing night and day. The city isn't fully healed, but it's finally moving forward. And perhaps that's the most impressive part of the entire story. Because most cities never recover after falling this far. Detroit refused to give up. For years, Detroit became the punchline of jokes. People called it America's ghost city. Some said it would never recover. Others believed the only future Detroit had was becoming a giant museum of abandoned buildings. But they were wrong, because while the world was busy talking about Detroit's past, Detroit quietly started building its future. And that's the part of the story most people never hear. The city's bankruptcy forced Detroit to do something it had avoided for decades. Start over. The government restructured billions of dollars in debt. Public services slowly improved. Streetlights that hadn't worked for years were finally replaced. Parks were cleaned. Roads were repaired. Old buildings that had been abandoned for decades were renovated instead of demolished. Little by little, confidence returned. Businesses that once refused to invest suddenly started taking another look. Not because Detroit had become perfect, but because they realized it still had incredible potential. Today's Detroit isn't trying to become the city it was in the 1950s. That world is gone. Instead, it's becoming something completely different. Technology companies are moving in. Startups are opening offices downtown. Artists have transformed abandoned warehouses into galleries and creative spaces. Restaurants that didn't exist 10 years ago are now attracting visitors from across the country. Even tourism has started growing again. People who once came to photograph abandoned buildings now come to experience Detroit's music, architecture, food, and sports. The city that invented Motown never lost its soul. It simply had to rediscover it. For decades, Detroit depended almost entirely on one industry: cars. When the automobile industry struggled, the city struggled. Today, Detroit is trying not to make that mistake again. Healthcare, technology, finance, education, and advanced manufacturing are becoming more important every year. Putting all your eggs in one basket works until someone drops the basket. Detroit learned that lesson the hard way. Detroit's story isn't really about cars or factories or bankruptcy. It's about change. For decades, Detroit believed it would always be the center of the automobile world. It was so successful that it stopped preparing for what came next. Meanwhile, the rest of the world kept changing. Competition increased, technology evolved, and consumer habits shifted. And Detroit wasn't ready. That's a lesson that applies far beyond one city. Whether you're a business, a country, or even an individual, standing still can be more dangerous than moving slowly. When people hear the word Detroit, many still imagine abandoned factories and empty streets. But that's only part of the picture. Yes, there are neighborhoods still facing serious challenges. Yes, crime remains a concern in some areas. And yes, thousands of abandoned properties still exist. But there's another Detroit. A Detroit filled with entrepreneurs, students, engineers, artists, and families. People who never gave up on their city aren't waiting for someone else to rebuild Detroit. They're doing it themselves. One business, one neighborhood, one investment at a time. Most documentaries end with a clear answer, but this one doesn't, because Detroit's story is still being written. Nobody knows exactly what the city will look like 20 years from now. Will it become one of America's greatest comeback stories or continue struggling with old challenges? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: Detroit has already done something few people thought was possible. 100 years ago, Detroit showed the world how to build the future. Then it showed the world how quickly success can disappear. But today it's showing something even more important: that even after losing millions of people, billions of dollars, and nearly everything that once made it great, a city can still find a reason to fight. Detroit didn't just build America's cars, it built one of the most remarkable stories of rise, fall, and resilience. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because next time, we're uncovering another incredible story hidden somewhere in America. Until then, thanks for watching.